Christmas Eve is supposed to be safe. A night of family, laughter, and warm lights behind closed doors. In Covina, California, one family believed they were protected inside that feeling. Children were laughing. Adults were talking. Outside, the world felt far away. Then the doorbell rang. The man standing outside was dressed as Santa Claus, a symbol of joy, a symbol of trust. Minutes later, that house was on fire. 9 people were dead, and Christmas would never feel the same again. This is the true story of Bruce Pardo, the night a celebration turned into a crime scene. Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive. Christmas Eve is usually a night when people feel protected. Families gather inside warm homes, believing the outside world cannot reach them. In Covina, California, on December 24, 2008, one family felt that same comfort. Inside their house, laughter filled the rooms. Food covered the tables. Children were tired but excited, waiting for Christmas morning. Nothing felt unusual. Nothing felt dangerous. The house belonged to Sylvia Ortega and her family. Christmas Eve gatherings were a tradition for them. Every year, relatives came together to talk, eat, and enjoy each other's company. That night was no different. Guests arrived throughout the evening. Some came from nearby areas. Others traveled long distances just to be there. Everyone was welcomed with smiles and hugs. The living room glowed with Christmas lights. A decorated tree stood near the corner, surrounded by wrapped gifts. Ornaments reflected the warm light. Wrapping paper was already scattered on the floor. Music played softly in the background. Adults talked about work and future plans. Children moved between rooms laughing and playing games. It was a peaceful scene, the kind people remember for years. No one inside the house knew that someone else was watching the clock. Bruce Pardo had once been part of this family. He had married Sylvia years earlier. To people who knew him, he appeared calm, intelligent, and reserved. He worked as an electrical engineer and lived what seemed like a normal life. But behind closed doors, his marriage had been breaking down for a long time. Arguments became frequent. Financial pressure increased. Trust disappeared. By 2008, the relationship was damaged beyond repair. Divorce papers were filed. For Bruce, the separation felt like a personal collapse. Friends later said he felt humiliated and angry. He believed he had lost control of his life. Instead of accepting the divorce, he focused on blame. Bruce blamed Sylvia. He blamed her family. In his mind, they were responsible for everything that had gone wrong. His anger did not fade with time. It grew stronger. As the weeks passed, he became more isolated. He stopped socializing. He spent long periods alone. He no longer talked about rebuilding his life or moving forward. As Christmas approached, Bruce's thoughts turned darker. He did not see the holiday as a time for peace. He saw it as an opportunity. He knew the family would gather on Christmas Eve. He knew the house would be full. He knew emotions would be high. Slowly, an idea formed in his mind. Bruce began planning. Weeks before Christmas, he purchased a Santa Claus suit. It was not meant to be a joke or a costume for fun. It was meant to be a disguise, a way to enter the house without raising suspicion, a way to confuse and shock. He collected firearms and ammunition. Using his engineering skills, he built a homemade flamethrower. He tested it to make sure it worked. Every detail mattered. This was not a sudden decision. It was a plan built step by step. Bruce chose Christmas Eve carefully. He wanted maximum impact. He wanted witnesses. He wanted the pain to last beyond the night. The holiday itself became part of the weapon. While the Ortega family prepared food and talked inside their home, Bruce prepared himself elsewhere. He dressed slowly. The red suit, the white beard, the Santa hat. He loaded his weapons into his car. He checked everything twice. Then he got behind the wheel and drove toward the house. Inside, no one sensed danger. The night continued peacefully. Guests laughed. Children yawned. Some people began thinking about leaving soon. Christmas morning was only hours away. At around 11:30 p.m., the doorbell rang. No one rushed to answer it. Late arrivals were normal. Someone made a light joke about Santa arriving early. When the door opened, the sight seemed harmless. A man dressed as Santa Claus stood outside. For a brief moment, there were smiles. Then the gun was raised. The moment the gun was raised, the night shattered. The first shot echoed through the living room, loud and sharp. For a split second, no one understood what they were hearing. Then screams filled the house. People froze. Others tried to run. The man dressed as Santa Claus fired again, and the reality became clear. This was not a joke. This was an attack. Panic spread instantly. Children cried. Adults shouted names. Some people dropped to the floor, hoping to avoid being hit. Others ran toward doors and windows, desperate to escape. The house that had felt safe seconds earlier now felt like a trap. The shooter did not hesitate. He moved forward calmly, firing again and again. He did not shout or speak. There was no warning, no demand. This was not a robbery. This was not chaos. This was a plan being carried out. Several people were struck before they could move. Others were hit while trying to protect family members. Some attempted to hide behind furniture. Others ran toward the back of the house, hoping to find an exit. The sound of gunfire mixed with screams and cries for help. The Santa suit made everything worse. A costume meant to represent joy now became the face of terror. The white beard and red clothing stood out against the chaos, creating an image survivors would never forget. After the gunfire, the attack did not stop. The man switched weapons. He carried a homemade flamethrower, built using fuel and compressed air. He sprayed accelerant across the rooms, over furniture, walls, and decorations. Then he ignited it. Fire spread instantly. Christmas decorations burned within seconds. The tree caught fire. Furniture ignited. Thick smoke filled the house, making it difficult to see or breathe. The heat rose quickly. Survivors who had escaped the gunfire now faced flames and suffocation. Some people crawled along the floor, trying to avoid the smoke. Others tried to reach exits that were already blocked by fire. The air became unbearable. The house turned into an inferno. Outside, neighbors heard the noise. At first, they thought it was fireworks. Then they heard screams. Moments later, flames burst through windows and the roof. Emergency calls flooded police and fire departments. Firefighters arrived quickly, but the situation was already out of control. The fire was too intense. The heat was extreme. They could not enter the house. All they could do was try to control the blaze from the outside and prevent it from spreading to nearby homes. Inside, lives were being lost. After setting the house on fire, the man in the Santa suit walked out. He did not run. He did not look back. Got into his car and drove away while emergency vehicles rushed toward the burning home. By the time firefighters were able to control the fire, the house was destroyed. What had been a place of laughter hours earlier was now blackened and silent. Investigators searched through the ruins carefully. They found 9 bodies. Some victims had been killed by gunfire. Others had died from smoke inhalation and burns. Family gathering was gone. The Christmas Eve celebration was erased in minutes. Police immediately began the search for the attacker. Our witnesses described the Santa suit. Investigators quickly realized the killer was not a stranger. It arrived knowing exactly where he was going. He'd known the house was full. It did not take long to identify him. The suspect was Bruce Pardo. Police tracked his vehicle to his brother's home in Montrose, California. Officers rushed to the location, hoping to arrest him before he could hurt anyone else. But they were too late. Inside the house, they found Bruce Pardo dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The violence had ended, but the damage was permanent. Investigators searched the house and made a disturbing discovery. They found more weapons, more ammunition. Materials that suggested the attack in Covina was not meant to be the end. Bruce had planned to continue killing that night. His death stopped further violence, but it did not change what had already happened. The Santa suit was found as well. Parts of it had been damaged and melted due to heat exposure. The image became one of the most disturbing symbols in modern true crime history. As news spread, the country reacted with shock. A Christmas Eve massacre carried out by a man dressed as Santa Claus was almost impossible to process. The contrast was too extreme. A holiday built on joy had been turned into a nightmare. For the families involved, there were no words strong enough to describe the loss. Christmas would never feel the same again. For watching more amazing videos like this, subscribe our channel Crime Loom.